we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Episode 60. Remember the Show, back in your lives. Jason Anik, Belal Muhammad. So 5 days ago, Belal Muhammad dominated Vicente Luque, but Belal wants to move on to the next. But I don't. I don't at all. So we will move on. And don't get me wrong, I love and appreciate your mindset. But as the now president of the Belal Muhammad fan club, I'm still basking in the glow 5 days later. Unanimous decision, 4-1. Remember the name. Congratulations. The winning, it just keeps rolling, baby. The wins keep coming. Congratulations. So happy. Yo.
What's up, my brother, man? I feel like I haven't seen you forever. We had 2
weeks
ghosts, and I'm like, man, I miss you guys.
Well, we miss you too. And dude, I mean, we really did take typically before a fight, we get you, but we took a few weeks off from Ramadan, everything else going on in your life. It just has to have been an unbelievable time. But dude, it is amazing how, in text with Belal, for those of you watching, like he does want to move on to the next, just like Bill Belichick and the Patriots, one game at a time. It's like, he wants to move on to the next. But dude, I have to say, like, and I said, I get emotional before your fights, even, it's like, we're texting Belal before these shows, like, love you, man. Like that, love you, buddy. Like that's what I'm texting him, and Belal Muhammad, the human being, is better than Belal Muhammad, the fighter. And he's a damn good fighter. And getting to know you as a human being makes this a lot more special. And, one thing that blew me away was you talked about this week, I doing media everywhere, but you were talking about the sacrifice of everybody else around you and what that means to you and the pressure, not necessarily pressure, but what I know, what I'm talking about. And that was my just takeaway from all of this, is just that sentiment. It's who you are. You're more focused on the people that are giving to your camp and giving to you more than yourself.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, it's not a one-man team for me. It's like there's a lot of guys that put their blood, sweat, and tears with me. They're in there with me no matter what, man. And I did not want to lose this fight for them. I'm like, they sacrificed a lot. They could be doing something else. They don't have to be doing this. They're making money doing other things. They don't have to be letting me slam them or punch them in the face just to help me grow and get better, man. But like these guys, like literally, they're my brothers, my family. Like all the support they give me, man, it makes it easier to have haters and stuff like that. Because I know that the close ones around me are the ones that really matter, and they're the ones that, whether I win or lose, they're gonna be by my side no matter what.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is like, as a fan and someone who knows you, it's like your mind does go like, well, what if he doesn't get it done? Like, and for me, it's like, I know you, the human being, so I'm really not worried about it either way. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, like, I'm not that worried about the outcome as much as I care about it. But so, dude, in terms of the fight, right? I was a little surprised to hear this week how much the rematch sort of meant to you, and I, and getting that off your back or whatever, and just getting, that loss. And to me, it's interesting because, Belal Muhammad at 28 years old versus 33 going on 34. We talked about you being a different fighter. So I was a little surprised to hear how much getting that, when I look at your evolution, to me, you're such a different fighter than back then. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's you try to make it seem like it doesn't mean anything, but like that's still the only guy that ever knocked you out. That's the guy that my mom literally texted me afterward, like, how does it feel now to get that one back? She doesn't even watch my fights, but she was just like, that made your whole family cry. And I'm like, they're tough around me, but like I said, I knew that it hurt them so much to see me hurt. And the fact that she said that like made me cry just to even think back at it. I never want to see my mom cry. I never want to see my mom hurt. So to get that win, to have my brothers there in the stands was just a surreal moment. It was amazing.
Yeah, it sounded like there were a lot of people there for you. So you had a decent crew with you.
Yeah, we had a decent crowd, and then my brothers were like, "Dude, you even had the regular people in there that we didn't even know were cheering for you." And it was like, "Dude, they said it was crazy in there." I was like, "No way!" He's like, "Dude, you had a lot of people in there cheering for you."
I love it. Well, speaking of which, like if your next fight's in the Apex, I might lose my mind. And it won't be, but it's like when I was in Jacksonville a week ago. You know what I'm saying, bro? And it's like and to see you do that in a main event, it's like I just can't wait to see you do it in front of fans. It's not like you haven't done it in front of fans, but dude, it's a different experience, man. And these main events, dude, I can't wait to see you in front of
Yeah, it's a different energy. It's a different feel when you have a full crowd in there. It's crazy. So yeah, I can't wait, man. I'm hoping. I'm looking. I definitely want to get on the Abu Dhabi card in October, but like I said, International Fight Week still crazy around the corner. That's always still a good time. So we'll see what happens.
So before we talk about who you're gonna get, couple questions. Like, so Luque's striking, right? Compared to the first fight, feel about the same to you? Any difference in his striking, or is it tough to answer?
See, that's the thing with the first fight. It happened so quick. So like I said, I didn't really take nothing out of the first fight besides the loss. But for us, like we're very good at breaking down opponents and seeing how they work and coming up with a game plan. But so Luque, he's a type that's gonna stand in front of you and he has to plant his feet to throw bombs at you. Man, in the third round, he hit me and I wasn't rocked, but like I don't know if you guys saw in between, like in the corner, I was sitting there like, man, is there blood in my eye or something like that? Because I couldn't see it. After the third round, I couldn't see anything out of my left eye. And then so I'm sitting there like fourth round playing it off, and I'm like, what the fudge is happening? But I'm like, no way, it's gonna be the same thing with the Leon fight. But my cut man was very good at like telling me, dude, you got nothing. There's nothing in your eye. Stop messing with it. And I was like, I don't want the doctor. And ended up getting it checked out. Gonna need surgery on it. It's gonna be like a 4-week recovery period.
Really?
So yeah, so I'm gonna have something next week. Yeah, I'm supposed to be wearing a patch right now, but I don't like to show weakness.
Interesting. So a little scratch. So 4 weeks, huh?
Yeah. So
okay.
You want to get right back into it and stuff like that, back to training, but like maybe it's a blessing in disguise type thing. So hopefully, everything goes smooth next week and we'll be back to training again.
I hear you. Well, and Ramadan continues. So, right. So not training for the next 2 weeks isn't the worst thing.
Yeah.
The next 10 days.
I'm like, I get to eat and stuff right now at like 7:30. But other than that, I'll be like eating all day long just for no reason at all. So I would have been like 200 pounds by now. So I'm like, this is the perfect for Ramadan to happen. So it gives me a reason to be more disciplined.
I love it. So while can you let us in at all during fight week, how Ramadan impacts you? I mean, obviously I'm watching the Celtics Nets last night and Kyrie at sundowns going to the locker room, to get fueled up. I mean, I know there's some adjustments during weight cutting, but I mean, what is that like? That the day of the fight? Yeah.
A lot of the time it's just having the right people around me. The day of the fight and the day of the weight cut, I had to make those 2 days up. I couldn't fast in those 2 days because I was killing myself. Yeah.
Of course.
But for the other days, it's just like you said, I messaged you guys where I'm like, bro, I trained in the morning. I got cotton mouth. I can't even talk. Yeah. So it's like, it's different. But it's just being, like I said, I know that he's not doing it. I know that, all fighters go jogging, all fighters go lifting weights, all fighters are doing sparring, are doing kickboxing, are doing jiu-jitsu, are doing this and that. But I know he's not fasting. I know that he's not pushing that other limit. I know that he's not doing that. If there's something that I have above him, it's that. And it's my mentality. And I know that I'm going to push harder than any of these guys are going to push.
I love it. So I texted you this, but I can't get over the timing of your takedowns in this fight, and not just necessarily the timing, meaning the impeccable timing where at the perfect moment where he was sort of coming in and you to be able to execute it, but also waiting for the right minute, whether it's a couple minutes in or whatever it is. I just thought every moment, and John said this on the podcast, but he took it from me. So I'm going to say it. Khabib's quote about Khabib saying that about himself, that he's smarter than he is tough, and he's damn tough. I thought the fight couldn't have been smarter. And your last 3 fights, the execution I mean, dude, I'm just blown away at all of it. And it was so fun to watch. I'm not an analyst here. I'm a fan. I can't get enough, man. The takedowns and the timing of them blew my mind. Speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, this was a long camp, an 8-week camp, and like I said, we wanted to make it seem where everybody that last fight, they're gonna be like, oh, all he's gonna do is wrestle after the Wonder Boy fight. So we knew that he was gonna be expecting it, and we wanted to use that to our advantage. So it was like, when he thinks we're gonna strike, we want to wrestle. When he thinks we're gonna wrestle, we're gonna strike. So we were hitting him with some really good shots, dude. He's tough. Like I hit him with them left body kicks. They were landing in deep. My shin is like swollen right now, but like even after the fight, he came up to Lou and Horacio, and he told him like, man, those body kicks hurt, and they changed a lot. But like, dude had like the poker face of all poker faces. Because I'm looking at it like, bro, like I know my shin literally just hit your rib right now, and he wasn't throwing, but he's still standing there like tough. And I'm like, bro, what the fudge? And it was close. And even getting the takedowns on the ground, he didn't leave any openings. He was getting up the proper way every time of putting his back to the cage, and people are like, oh, why don't you go for a submission? And I'm like, he didn't give me an opening for a submission. Everything was scrambled. And when you're that sweaty, there was a couple times where I just slid off the top of them. But like I said, he was definitely number 5 in the world. He was a beast. And, he was better than I expected him to be. I thought there was definitely going to be openings in the 4th and 5th where I end up breaking him and finishing him. But yeah, nothing but respect for him. He's definitely one of the toughest guys I fought.
Well, maybe he handled it the proper way, but he didn't get up right away ever. And I thought that was me. Every time you had him, every time you got him down, he was down there for a little bit, some time.
That goes to, like I said, I think a lot of people underestimate how strong I really am. When you look at me, you're looking at like, oh, he's not a Division I wrestler. He's not a black belt. He's not this. I train with Gilbert Burns. I trained with this guy, and this guy. We have a gym full of 50 UFC fighters. How the heck is he holding me down? And I think that's what it comes down to, is like not realizing how good I really am. And I think that all these guys underestimate me. They keep sleeping on me, and then they wake up once my hand's raised.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it was fascinating though to hear, like, I mean, I'm sure you heard that, there was a little rumbling in Luque's corner, like the audacity. There was like 2-2 going into 5. Come on. It's like, and for people that are, I'm sitting here rooting for you to get the W. I got a lot of your fans and the people that care about you and your family. I'm sure your brothers tell you about all sorts of thoughts going through their mind in that last round, but you can be sure going into the 5th round, I'm just sitting here saying, survive, just survive, 3 in the bag, survive, kid. It's just fascinating. And I'm sure you had all sorts of different, did you know you had 3 rounds? You thought you were up 3-1. No.
Yeah. I thought I was definitely up. My corners were like, bro, even still, like you said, you never know what's going to happen in a fight. And we knew that he was going to come hard in that 5th round. But like I said, I knew I had more in the gas tank than him. I knew that I worked harder. So I was like, there's no way that I'm losing in this 5th round, no matter what. He could throw anything at me. And that was my mentality the whole week. I was just telling myself, like I said, when you're sitting in there in your room, and you have your boys there, but like everybody got their own room. So, and then a lot of the time you're by yourself, and you're just in your thoughts, and you're just thinking about stuff. And you, like you said, like, that's when negativity starts coming in, where you're looking at it and you're like, man, this guy knocked me out. And the UFC's sharing posts of him knocking you out, and you're like, why the heck are they doing that for? And then you're like, man, do they want me to lose? Are they trying to throw me off my game? And you just think everybody's against you. And then those things start creeping in your head. Like, what if it wasn't a lucky shot? What if it was he just has that crazy power? He knocked out T. Woodley too. T. Woodley was a champion too. Like, these guys all had the belt before me. So what do I have differently than these guys? And, it kept creeping in. And then once it got close to the fight time, and I got closer to my walkout song, my walkout music, that's when I was like, bro, that's it. It's our time. There's no way we're leaving here without my hand raised. Too many people want this for me, and there's nobody that wants it more than me.
100%. Dude, I love it. And it is interesting. And John brought this up in the podcast, but dude, it's like, if let's say one of those kicks, ends the fight, right? The narrative is, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, God forbid there's a performance bonus for Bully B. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? It's like, what, get out of here. You don't need it. That's fine. He'll get pay-per-view points or whatever it is when he has the belt around his waist. Okay. Get that.
I literally thought that was still beat the fight of the night that they picked. I'm like, a lot of those other fights, I'm like, bro, I liked it. If you're like MMA, then it was like more respect from even like the fighters. Like, I had Justin Gaethje message me. I had Cejudo talk about it. I had Poirier tweet about it. It's like people that understand fighting. I've had Sandoval gloves message me, and I was like, getting respect from those guys and coaches. And Henry Hoots is another coach that I respect the whole time. And I've gone to his gym and I've trained with him, and I have a whole lot of respect for him. He was cornering against me, and then he even came up, you're amazing martial artist, great fight, and things like that. So to get the respect of the people that actually matter, that's all I care about.
You're well connected with this South Florida mixed martial arts community, Bully. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these guys well. Sorry, Cody, go ahead.
Well, so I just wanted to pop on and say, like, it's an interesting duality among the fan base, right? Because Luque hasn't been finished since 2013. So if you go out there and you lose to Luque, everyone's like, oh, well, like Luque, he's a great fighter, like he's a top 5 guy, whatever. But then you go out and like dominate Luque over 5 rounds and people won't give you the credit because you didn't finish him. It's like nobody finishes Vicente Luque. He's one of those just like guys who you bet to go over all the time. Like, so I think it's a little unfounded. And then, of course, in back-to-back weeks, Aljo and Belal just telling Twitter to F themselves. Like, I thought that was the best part.
Yeah, that's what I said. I tell people all the time, like, bro, Aljo got kneed as a downed opponent, and the fans started hating him. I think literally the turn for me was getting poked in the eye, and the fans started going like nuts. And I'm like, bro, you know what? People are just, you can't satisfy everybody. And I'm like, bro, like, I don't really care. Like you said, you guys are my boys. I get the text from you guys. I get the text from my brothers. I get the text from my family. Those are the ones that matter to me no matter what. Because even when you lose one fight, that's when everybody shifts on you anyway. Look at Darren Till. Darren Till had a huge following, but now he says anything about fighting Adesanya, this guy sucks. This guy's terrible. Like, bro, shut up. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm reading the comments. I'm like, at least as long as I'm not the only one getting it, I'm happy. I'm like, let me go read somebody else's comments, get their hate mail.
Exactly.
Fickle, right? We don't need the fickle fans. We just need the loyal ones. But then, I mean, now you're setting up to be a huge face against like then whoever you fight next, really, because it's like, nobody's going to go out there and root for Kobe against you.
I mean, you never know. There were some people that are sending me death threats in my messages saying that they hope Kobe kills me, and if they ever see me, they're going to kill me. So, there are some crazy Kobe emo fans out there.
So we'll definitely talk in a minute, and Cody, you can stay with us about who you're going to fight next. But before we do, I just want to say, like, for Vicente Luque, right, this division is still stacked. He still has some great opponents in the bottom half of the top 10, in my opinion, to fight. And you can put together a nice streak if you're Vicente Luque still against some really high quality opponents, so even for him, he fought a tough motherfucker too in Belal Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think he's still, it's like John was saying, 2-year setback for Vicente in terms of title shot, maybe, you know what I mean? But I still think he's got a bright future in this promotion. You could be sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, there's definitely some big names out there for, he's called out Nate Diaz before, like Masvidal fight makes sense. Those are like big fights, huge fights for somebody like him, and even like a Wonder Boy rematch. I could also see that happening. So, like you said, I feel like the top 10, there's so much that you can do with mixing and matching with guys and make some great fights and great matchups. Yep.
Well, speaking of which, because your next rung will be up the ladder, so it's. I'd like to just sit here and talk about Kamaru Usman, but on your post-fight interview, you didn't really, you sort of went away from that a little, Bully. So, in my mind,
it was like when I said after my Wonder Boy fight, everybody's like, bro,
right.
They were like shutting it down, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just skip all of that because they're not, unless I freaking go out there and I beat everybody in the top 5, they're not going to give me that title shot. So, I'm like, you know what? Let me just look past them right now.
But to me, if you take care of one of these 3, right, Chimaev, Burns, one of these, Leon Edwards, you can ever fight that guy, Burns or any of these guys. But I mean, to me, is it not one more and then right? I mean, what do you got to beat 3 more guys to give me a break? How many? Come on. I mean,
and especially with the fact with Burns, I mean, Burns is in such a shitty situation because, like, I mean, how does Burns not drop lower than 5? Like, Burns isn't getting a title shot before Belal, before Chimaev, before Leon. Like, why is he above those guys in the rank? Like, I don't know. I'm not signing up to see a Burns rematch Usman. I'm just not. Maybe Burns Jorge. That's a good fight.
Yeah, Burns Jorge makes a lot of sense. Or even like I said, like I don't even really care about those guys. For me, I'm looking at who I need to get to. Like you said, I want one more fight and then a title shot. I think that has to be a Chimaev. I think that with just him looming in the background, if I fight Kobe next and I beat Kobe, Chimaev's still there. Whoever he fights next, they're still gonna push him ahead just because he's that Russian star and he has that aura, the Conor McGregor aura. So I'm looking at it like, I called out Kobe, but I think the one that makes the most sense, where it's going to get me where I want to be, is Chimaev. And I think a main event 5-rounder makes the most sense, because we saw his chin get tested against Gilbert. Now let's test his cardio.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, and especially because, I mean, if you take your oh yeah, those are crickets. That's everybody else calling out Chimaev. I haven't seen anybody else. Not a single person out there, even after that 3-round fight, wants to go out and challenge Chimaev. So Bully B's ready. And, Belal, you talked about the fact that, you're going to sit out for 4 weeks or so. Like, the bright side is Leon isn't going to do literally anything to show that he deserves that title shot more. So, he'll pop off at Chael once or twice on Twitter every 3 weeks. But, at some point, if you're Leon, why aren't you out there?
He commented on one of the UFC posts before the fight. It was like, "Oh, my 2 kids are fighting." And I'm like, bro, this guy's such a...
Yeah, bro, from the dude who he poked Belal in the eye and then cried to his mom in the car, like, "I can't believe this has happened to me." Blah, 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 blah. Like, bro, if you fight more than once every 3 years, you wouldn't have to cry about losing one fight. I don't know. Make the rematch in London.
Get the title shot before any of us. Your last one is against Nate Diaz, and you haven't fought anybody for one person in 2 years, and it's gonna end up going on 3. Because, like I said, I'm hearing that Usman's hand's still not fully healed. He's in the gym, but he doesn't have a glove on that hand. He's not training with that hand. So it's like, once you start actually punching with that hand could get re-injured. And Usman's the type of guy who's fought 3 times last year. So I think that Usman deserves a break. Let him take off. I don't even need an interim fight. Just give me a number 1 contender fight against Leon, and I'll take that one. Yeah. And if you're Leon, why would you want to go from fighting a Nate Diaz straight into a Usman fight? Do you really think you're going to win coming off of that? Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, it's a real good point. Because at the end of the day, it's what are you trying to accomplish? Do you want to be a champion right now? You have to go and show it. You got to be sharp. Like you said, you're going to go out there cold and think you're going to beat Kamaru Usman, who's the pound for pound, number 2 fighter in the world, because John Jones is the pound for pound number 1. But, and then also if you're...
Chael said when he said that, the UFC is going to offer Leon his win and show money. And I'm looking at him and Conor have the same management. I can see Conor just offer him, "Yo, take this $1 million, sit out." And I see that. I can see Leon being that type of guy. All right, I'll take the $1 million, sit out, because fighting.
Well, he'll sit out for free. That's why.
Yeah.
but if you're Conor's, they're the same management, but Audie's not gonna have Leon's back over Conor. That's not ever gonna happen.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Audie will go up to Leon, "Yo, hey, Conor's offering you this quick $2 million to let him pass you up and fight for the title." But for me, I also don't even think that Conor's gonna fight for the title. UFC will make it, but I think that Conor just does stuff just to get headlines. Where when the Super Bowl's on, he wants to tweet about something. "Oh, I got a fight coming on." When Tom Brady unretires, he wants to tweet about something because somebody else is getting the attention. He gets a little bit jealous and he craves that attention. So that's when he says crazy things "Oh, I'm about to be a 3-division champ." No, you're not, dude. You suck. You haven't won a fight in 5 years. It's chill out.
It just makes me laugh, with the rankings, because when we first started and you were maybe unranked or right outside there, it's now as you get higher up, the rankings matter less and less. I remember when you were 9 and you were fighting 5 or whatever. I don't even remember. We're it's all right. When you're fighting Wonderboy, you're going to take the 5, right? And then Luque, Bruce Buffer in the ring says number 5, Belal Muhammad, number 6, Luque, by the way.
Oh, does it?
But, and meanwhile, some of us can't even catch up because Chimaev just, hopped up when he won. But yes, he did say that before the fight. You can go watch it back, which is funny. I was yeah, exactly. But just my point being is I don't care. It doesn't matter that you were 5 and then you beat Luque and you're 5. You know what I mean? The ranking doesn't matter. It's to me, it's just, I like the position you're in now, because I do think it's if you are going to have to win one more before Usman, fine. But that's it. One more, and then is it not this?
You ain't lying, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, these rankings are just all screwy. I'm looking at the pound for pound right now. Dustin Poirier is number 7. John Jones is number 8. Glover is number 9. What? Who? If you were to go into a lab and say you can, if you're in a creative fighter mode in UFC, right? And you're you can have the John Jones template, the Dustin Poirier template, or the Glover Teixeira template. You're picking John Jones every single time. It's not even a question. I don't understand these rankings sometimes. But like I said, for Chimaev beats Burns. Burns drops 1 spot, even though he proved that he is not going to beat Usman. Like, not that you can do MMA math, but it does get all screwy. And one thing I want to pose to you guys is, how much different is it looking at Leon's situation to Tony Ferguson's? The fans, when Tony Ferguson was on his run, everyone's like, Tony needs a title shot. Like, Tony's the slept on guy. Tony. I don't see anybody out there who's like, oh, Leon's the guy. Like, look at this win streak. He's the guy. Like, it's such a weird, division.
Tony was
good time.
Contenders, I think. Tony was beating
Tony was fighting everybody. He fight Lando Venata like on a week's notice.
Yeah, he was literally fighting everybody. Leon is literally sitting out and, begging and pleading and, trying to show his case, doing his Dana White privilege. Like, he's not doing anything. And, like, he's not even in social media. Like I said, like, he'll literally creep up, say the dumbest thing, and then creep back into his little freaking closet.
Well, and isn't that the fight? Sorry, I would call if I'm Leon, the second Chimaev wins, I'm like, take that, bring that ass to London. Let's go. Main event, interim title. I got your ass, boy. Like, that's what I would have done. But he's just out there staying quiet. And if I'm Usman, I'm sitting on that until they take the belt from me. Like, what? Why rush?
Exactly. And even if you're Usman, you're looking at it like, how much is that going to sell? Unless he gets on a big pay-per-view with like a John Jones or something like that, like him and Leon is not really going to sell like that. And it's like, you want to try to rush it to, if they do that Stipe Jones fight, obviously you want to try to hop on that card so you get the pay-per-view points, but also rushing it could hurt your hand even more. So maybe you do sit back a little bit and see how everything plays out a little bit more and make Leon fight somebody else.
So for you, this 4 weeks with the eye, how much of an impact? Because there are plenty of fighters, you could be sure, correct me if I'm wrong, who after a fight like you just had would take 4 weeks off anyway, right? I mean,
yeah, honestly,
more
very depressing to me because I'm like literally once, especially after a win, like I literally wanted to get right back into the gym, right back to training.
Yeah. Married to the game, baby. Go ahead.
Like if they call you tomorrow and they're like, "Do you want to fight Gilbert in July?" It's like,
right. That's
do I want to? Yeah. Can I? I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. No, like I said, we have the procedure next week, so it's like I want to see what I'm able to do because he said no contact. So if I'm able to jog, do a little Paul Felder triathlon work, I'll be happy with it. Because
exactly.
There's no way possible that I'm gonna be sitting on the couch or going on vacation. Like I need to get to work.
I love it. That is really interesting though, how you knew something was wrong with your eye. Sure enough.
Yeah, like I know literally it's like blurry. Like even right now, it's like blurry to the point where I can't see if I do this. And I was like, man, is there blood in my eye? Because when you get blood in your eye, there's like usually like a little cloud that goes through your thing, and then the cut man's like, dude, you're not bleeding. And I'm like, all right, dude. And I'm like messing with it. He's like, stop messing with your eye. Ain't nothing wrong with your eye. And I'm like, all right, I'm sure there is, but all right. Yeah. And then after the fight, you want to sit there, do all the interviews. You don't want to go to the hospital and spend the time there. So I'm like chilling with my family, eating, and I'm like, man, I'm hoping that it just goes away. And then the next morning, Sunday, it was still there, but it was Easter Sunday, so all the doctors were closed. And then I was like, all right, once I'm back in Chicago, I need to definitely get it checked out. But like I said, thankfully nothing crazy serious. The 4 weeks may help me in general. So, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, and just touch base with Michael Bisping if need be. I'm sure he'll give you some love and support. He accomplished a great deal with a less than perfect.
Yes. It was in the comments, but I was like, I'm not about to throw shade on Belal's eye,
Oh, there you go. So, dude, either way, you're getting an enormous fight next. We're all thrilled for you. I don't have the words. It's all love. But I want to jump back to the previous weekend to Jacksonville. And I'm fascinated a little bit to what your experience was like, Bully. You left for Vegas Monday, right? 2 days after that. So it's like when you're sitting home, and I obviously want to know what you think about the fight, but when you're sitting home watching Burns Chimaev, is that any different for you because it's so close to such a big fight for you? Or are you really just home in the moment, just enjoying that?
Honestly, it was like it hyped me up. Like right after that fight, I had to watch the main event and the co-main event as I was jogging on the treadmill. I went literally did 7 miles. Like I was watching it on my phone. Usually I have family over and stuff to watch the fights and friends, but I was like, no, when I'm cutting weight, I'm a different person, and I don't want like those people, everybody around me. So like it was just me myself watching the fights, and then once that happened, I was like, if something like that doesn't motivate you, then you're not really a true fighter, or you're just a hater. And I was like, I got up, started jogging because I'm like, I got to work harder. Like that's all it told me.
I love it. Well, so that fight, I mean, so, Jacksonville was a pretty cool experience for me. I was able to sort of hang out with John, and I went sort of last minute. But I got to say, just that fight, and it reminded me a little bit of Gaethje Chandler, just that first round where I was just like, what is the energy in that arena? And like Chimaev, seeing him, I met him, saw him a couple times, like, there is he has a good energy about him, no question about it. What was fascinating though was that what was so special is like Burns, like seeing him in that moment. So I mean, he was unbelievable. And after the third round, just like, give me 2 more rounds. Like, give me 2 more rounds. I beat this guy. And like, I may sound crazy, but to me, like it wasn't to me like a slam dunk that Chimaev was getting his hand raised, at least for my, like Burns to me was really, I thought it was a little maybe closer than the scorecards might have indicated, but it was a really special moment being in the arena for that fight. To me, I just can't wait to see you fight one of those guys and in a moment like that, because you deserve it.
Yeah, honestly, like the energy just seemed crazy coming out of there. And then just to see Chimaev sitting on the cage, like you learn a lot. You're like, dude, this guy just, his nerves are nuts. Like nerves are steel. But that third round, I think Burns started a little bit slow, and I think that's what messed him up, because he came up stronger in the later of the round. But the beginning of the third, where he laid on the cage a little bit and he took a couple of hits. I don't know if there was something wrong with his leg or something like that. Like, he looked like he was just resting on the cage, and then Chimaev a little bit, not crazy teed off, but like it looked like he was teeing off a little bit. And I think that's what really messed him up with the judges. But yeah, going back and forth, you're looking at it. I picked Burns before that that morning, and I had so many people like, oh, you're a moron. Chimaev's gonna walk through him. You're just a hater, and this and this. And I'm like, bro, Burns is number 2 in the world. How am I a hater? I'm like, Burns is a beast. And, I was just happy that he shut a lot of these people up and these haters up. And then now you look at it like everybody's looking at Chimaev like, oh, he's not the guy that we thought he was. I'm like, all you people thought he was just going to walk through every single person, one punch power everybody, and then it was going to be over. Like, he's a beast. He showed that he's a beast. He has 9 fights, and he beat number 2 in the world. And it was literally a war. And you learn more from a guy in a war than you do from a guy in a dominating fight. And I think that some people, like I said, people out here are just clueless when it comes to what a fighter really is and what it takes to be a real fighter.
A lot of these fights too, it's like Jan Sterling. Jan certainly had his moments. It's like your last 3 fights, not many memorable moments for your opponents. You know what I mean? Very clean. It's like you got people barking, maybe Jan won the first round. He didn't, but whatever. I'm not here to talk about that. Aljamain Sterling won the belt. Clearly, but seriously, there's no question about any of the last 3 fights of yours. So also too, it's the same argument. Burns, Chimaev, Luque, Muhammad, metal on metal, tough on tough. I mean, you're gonna have some things like that. People were bored watching Khabib. You know what I mean? Like, people complained about Khabib back in the day. You know what I mean? So be boring.
I tell people all the time, like, when you see a guy like Khabib or a guy like Usman, it like motivates you, because Usman used to be snoozman, and it's like, all right, Khabib, he still gets people saying that he's the most boring champion ever, and I'm like, you're gonna have your followers and the people that love you no matter what, and then you're gonna have the haters that just want to see you lose, and they're just waiting for that one moment to pounce on you no matter what. So even when you win, they're still gonna pounce and say negative things, but once you lose, it's gonna be like, oh, I told you so, I told you so. But all we're going to do is win. And if I keep winning, I'll just keep taking that hate, keep bringing out more and more of the hate, because it doesn't affect me.
Yeah, so they can take away the fight of the night, but they can't take away a win vote, right? You get the W, you can't take any of that away. I love it. Dude, well, I'll tell you, I mean, I really enjoy seeing your fucking back on my screen on top of him when I don't even see it coming. I really enjoy that. But the haters are great. When John started working for the UFC, Dana was just like, just wait for the hate, John. Just wait. And it comes, but you love it.
Which is funny, because I mean, if you look at obviously that was probably the case at the beginning, but like John's one of the most revered like personalities with the UFC, like post event. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's negativity if you want to look for it, but like, There's way more negativity about other people on the broadcast than John. But that is, it's true. It's like, we're not exactly, it's ironic, right? Because we're fans of a sport that everyone thinks they can do because they've done it in high school or in middle school, or whatever. So everyone's like, oh, like you can watch a baseball game and you can understand that you probably can't hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, but you see a guy throw a punch, you see Belal throw that 1-2 on Luque, and you're like, oh, I could do that. Like, oh, I could do. I was like, bro, like, imagine that you're going to fight somebody who is literally a trained killer. Like, it's child's play. So it's not even, it's just a funny ego thing where, like, obviously 98% of our fans are male, but there's definitely like a huge ego part, which is where I think you, Belal, specifically, like a lot of the stuff that I was seeing, obviously we talked to you outside of the fights and interviews and stuff like that, but like to have a humility about the fact that you're like, yeah, like I'm wearing it on my sleeve. Like, of course, like you didn't say it in the lead up, but like, of course the previous fight was going to be on your mind, but then afterwards to not shy away from that, I think is rare, because most fighters, you know, they'd be like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that at all. Like blah, 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 blah. But you know, you were right to own it. You're just like, yeah, of course that was on my mind. And that's just one thing where, you know, as your friend, as someone who has followed you for the last 2 years, you know, religiously, it's something that I think really reveres you and is going to make you like stick to fans that way. It's why I think people like seeing you on the broadcast, you know, save for a little Irishman over across the pond.
My brother, I appreciate that.
And I also think too, had that fight, that 5-round main event with you and Luque been in a building with fans, there would have been a lot of appreciation, you know. And if you're sitting in that fight, you're rooting for Luque, you're a Belal Muhammad hater, you got money on Luque, you got to be like, damn. I mean, that I always just think about your opponents and how frustrated. I mean, like, think about Luque. I mean, that's different. Luque was prepared. He was in good shape. You know what I mean? This was a big fight for him. This was a big spot for him too, you know?
Well, and I thought he was gonna Bully. I thought you were gonna get him out of there with that neck crank. How like tight was that on the jaw? Like, were you under at all, or was it?
Lou, like I was hearing Lou in the corner scream, "Just rip it off, rip it off!" Like, I'm trying, Lou, I'm trying.
It's like I could see it on your face where you're just like, if I could pull any harder, I would. You're like,
yeah, I'm like, man, but I was trying to get my other hook in, but he's like, he did a good job of keeping his back close to the fence, so I couldn't squeeze it in. Like,
he's got a short neck. He's kind of got that Burns neck too, where it's like almost built for jiu-jitsu, where he's like kind of already hunched up.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, come on, bro, just let me slide in underneath, dude. Just give it to me.
Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep.
So I know we got to get out of here. I just have to say one more thing. So like I was in a van with Alan Joban, Bruce Buffer, Dean Thomas, and John, and we're going to something in Jacksonville, some pre-show. I don't know, maybe we're going to the fights, right? And it's like, all I want to talk about is Belal Muhammad next week. We're about to go watch 2 championship fights, and I'm like, all I want to talk about is Belal Muhammad. But Belal, a lot of people picked you. I didn't find a lot of people not yeah, absolutely. But everyone on Anik and Florian Podcast, Michael Chieso, a lot of, you know what I mean? So starting to, you know, people drinking the Kool-Aid as they should be. So congratulations, man.
I'll go back and to watch see who picks against me and picks against. I haven't done that yet, but I'm like, I always like doing it. I'm like, especially with fighters, if like, you know, a lot of fighters now are doing the circles. I'm like,
the pros picks. Yeah.
All right. I'm definitely not circling you your next fight.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. That'd be a good piece of content if we did you reacting to the, you know, they do the pros picks. I don't know who does. I think James Lynch does it. If you were reacting to that and you're like, oh, okay. All right, WB. All right. Let me take that list down. Let me remember the name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, take care of that eye. You know, enjoy the time off because you deserve it. You are as active as they come. You know, we know we'll see you late summer, probably midsummer. You know, that eye's going to heal up nice and quick. So, but dude, good shit, man. Nice win.
My brother. We're back on next week. Next week we have guests again. Karate Hottie finally answered my message, so we're going to get her a good opponent.
I love it.
Let's go. Top 5 dead or alive. He ain't 4, 3, 2, 1, baby.
My brother.
Exactly. Remember the show 60. We're out. Appreciate you all. Later.